We have a bombshell report that was just released regarding aliens and UFOs. Trump blasts Fauci over his emails, and it has been 1 year since defunding the police. And I have a lot to say about that. Welcome to the Bald Brad Show. Before we get into our lead story today, please take a moment right now to hit that like button. It really does help support the channel, and it also pushes my video out there to viewers who have not seen my content or my channel. And if you want to support a new conservative talk show like the Bald Brad Show, please make sure you hit the subscribe button. It is free. It doesn't cost you anything. As well as the bell notification button so you're notified whenever we upload a video or go live, which is every Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And with that being said, folks, our lead story of the day is breaking news. It comes from our friends over at the Daily Wire. If you're not already a member, please go over and become a subscriber today. This is written by Ryan Saavedra, and he titles it, Findings from Bombshell U.S. Report on UFO Released Raise New Serious Questions. So this is something we've been following for a while. Something I kind of just added at the end of my shows is something that I find curious and fun and a little bit of lightheartedness. But this report does have massive ramifications for our installations, for our nuclear warheads. There was just information that was released all but a few hours ago about somebody reporting to our government saying, look, there's been times where they wanted to launch our missiles, meaning all the missiles were activated. There was times where our missiles just went dead, where they weren't working. We're talking nuclear, by the way, folks. And this just doesn't happen once or twice or just 10 times. He said this happens multiple times throughout history, throughout the years, throughout the decades.
Declassified videos, authentic Department of Defense footage.
Oh my God. There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the SA.
We had operational control over 10 Minuteman nuclear missiles. When the first missile went down, they reported that there were UFOs overhead. The objects were above them, and at that point the missiles started shutting down. Yeah, disabled. I did sign a non-disclosure statement. We were ordered not to talk to anybody about this. It was then designated a highly classified incident. These objects know in great detail how our missiles operate. They can shut down our missiles at any time. If you release that information to the public, what do you say then about, what kind of defense do we have against these things? These incidents are still going on. These incidents are continuing.
There is a cover-up of these sightings.
So that worries me a lot. Also, the fact that the United States government has no clue what this stuff is. But let's dive into this bombshell report here. Key findings from an upcoming bombshell U.S. report on UFOs referred to by the government as unidentified aerial phenomenon or phenomena, UAP, were released late on Thursday evening and show that U.S. officials have zero evidence that any of the reported objects are alien spacecraft. Now, that doesn't surprise us. I mean, I think a lot of the UFO people, alien people, the ones that say they're abducted and are really into this, were hoping that the government was like, yeah, hey, we have some craft over there in Area 51 or S4, referring to Bob Lazar, and hoping, hey, we have material, we have all this stuff. Doesn't seem like we're really going to get that kind of proof or that kind of evidence coming out. The government, if they do have that, is holding that on tight. I personally don't really think they have these craft, but that's just my opinion. I could be wrong. I have no evidence to prove that by any means. It says here, the report determines that the vast majority of more than 120 incidences over the past 2 decades did not originate from any American military or other advanced U.S. governmental technology or government technology, the New York Times reported. Now that's scary because the government is plain out saying, this is not us. We don't have this technology. We don't have these capabilities. This is not our craft. We don't know what the heck this is, and that's worrisome for our government because that means if they're saying, look, we don't have any evidence that it's alien, we know it's not us, then that only kind of points in the direction of like, this is a foreign country that's going to have this technology. Folks, if that's the case, that's some serious crap, meaning these guys, whoever holds this technology is hundreds, if not thousands of years ahead of us as far as United States technology goes. So we all should be worried here because if that is the case where it's another foreign country, say like maybe Russia or China, has this technology and we're assuming that it's not aliens or extraterrestrials or whatever you want to call it, then we should all be worried here, because we are no longer the dominant superpower on the face of this planet. We are no longer ahead of everybody else. Hell, we're almost last in line with everybody else. So we're like North Korea right now. So that's not good if this ends up actually being true. I mean, it is coming from our government. I don't trust government, so I take it as a grain of salt. But let's move forward here. That determination would appear to eliminate the possibility that Navy pilots who reported seeing an unexplained aircraft might have encountered programs that the government meant to keep secret. And I talked about this on the other show earlier this week, where I said it is a possibility that our military is just observing our military, and that parts of our military want to keep this kind of technology under wraps and hush hush, because we don't want our foreign adversaries to know that we even have this technology. So that was kind of a possibility in my mind. Now, is it still a possibility where our government could be lying to us and it actually is our aircraft, it is our government or our military doing this stuff? Sure. But, we're going to go with this being truth, okay? And we'll move forward with it. If the objects are not alien spacecraft and are not U.S. secret governmental technology, then questions arise about whether a foreign adversary has advanced technology that the U.S. does not have and is using it to penetrate U.S. airspace, swarm U.S. warships, and spy on military bases. Those are the key conclusive findings from the classified intelligence report, and the unclassified version that will be released by Congress will not contain many other hard findings. So this is kind of the synopsis of that big report that Trump wanted to push out with the coronavirus relief package, and says, look, in about 180 days or however many days or months, you need to basically report to Congress all your findings on UFOs, what you have. And it's kind of a dud. It's like, hey, this isn't us. We don't know what it is, and that's it. So we were kind of hoping a little bit more here, a little bit more of a bombshell type stuff, but it doesn't seem like we're going to get it. Intelligence officials believe at least some of the aerial phenomena could be experimental technology from a rival power, most likely Russia or China, the report said. One senior official briefed on the intelligence said without hesitation that U.S. officials knew it was not American technology. He said there was worry among intelligence and military officials that China or Russia could be experimenting with hypersonic technology. Former Navy SEAL Robert O'Neill, who is credited with killing Osama bin Laden, weighed in on the matter last month, writing on social media, if it's not UFOs and it's not enemy government, we are effed. So if you don't know who Robert O'Neill is, he has a great book. I would check out Robert O'Neill's book. Fascinating. Talks about kind of a little bit of the stealth things that the Navy SEALs do and how it comes from Indians and stuff like that. Really fascinating and cool book. But, he knows kind of what's going on in the government. I'm not saying Navy SEALs know everything about technology, but you would think they would know a little bit of what's going on with the technology world in the military. And he's saying, look, if this ain't UFOs, and if it's an enemy government, or hell, if it's anybody other than the United States, we're screwed. And he's absolutely right. Russia has been investing heavily in hypersonics, believing that technology offers ability to evade American missile defense technology. China has also developed hypersonic weaponry and included in its military parades. The report said if the phenomenon were Chinese or Russia aircraft, officials said it would suggest the two powers' hypersonic research has far outpaced American military development. It is really hard for me to believe that Russia and China have outpaced America. It is possible. Again, I'm fully open-minded that it is possible, but I mean, with the Chinese Navy and kind of their development of military and kind of the growth of their military, and it's just hard for me to believe. It really is. But I don't know. I mean, again, I'm always open-minded to be wrong on things. It's just really hard for me, and maybe it's because we've been that dominant superpower for so long. It's kind of hard for me to believe that we wouldn't be. I hope we're not. God forbid that is the case. Former Director of National Intelligence John Ratcliffe told Fox News earlier this year that the Biden administration was in for a bit of a shock when they viewed intelligence reports on how quickly China has closed the gap. The things they are doing, where they are spending money, you can't help but be concerned about China's ability to challenge us. As I said, in certain places, Ratcliffe said. I don't want to talk about those detail because it poses a national security threat to acknowledge that, but there are places where China frankly does a better job and further down the road the curve on some technology issues than we are, and that's never been the case before. So basically he's saying, look, they are catching up, they're closing the gap on us technology-wise, and we kind of already knew that even as citizens because they just steal all our technology, they just steal our data. So there's no surprise there, and I would hope that the government would take that a little bit more seriously, because that's been going on for, what, a decade at least, of taking our technology, reverse engineering what we have, basically us putting in all the hard work, basically paving the road for them, and they're just walking behind us, just stealing everything. Look, the road's been paved. Easy to find and walk that trail. So that's why they're closing the gap on us so quickly, because we're having to find out all this stuff, engineer and create research and development for all this military advancement, and they're just stealing it from us. And basically, like I said, it's easier to close a gap than somebody that's actually hiking in front of you, walking that trail, cutting it up. You're going to close in on them a lot quicker. But hey, there we go. It's not our technology. We don't have any evidence that it actually is extraterrestrial. So we'll see. Kind of a dud, but that's kind of what the Pentagon, the US is going to release, and Congress is going to release to all of us later. So we'll see. I mean, maybe over time you'll get more videos like this. You'll get more videos and clearer videos of what's happening with our U.S. military and these flying objects. But as of right now, they are not aliens. Now, in other news, this comes from Blaze Media. It is written by Carlos Garcia. Trump blasts Fauci over his emails and says China should pay U.S. and the world $10 trillion over the coronavirus. Funny enough is I said the exact same thing. When are we going to start blaming China for doing what they did? Where's the world at on this? Where's the United Nations at on this, with millions of people dead because of this thing? And I think, we've always said, at least conservatives, that it sounds like it's coming from the Wuhan lab or a lab leak. So and we know it came from China. So where's the blame coming from anybody, and pointing it towards China and saying, look, are you going to pay us back for what the hell you just did? My take on it was either give us money or, cancel the debt that we have with you. That way our national debt at least drops a little bit of what we have, or what we have of owing countries. Maybe it'll help out a little bit here. But I agree with Trump just off the premise of what this says. I haven't yet dived into the article here, but I agree. There needs to be some payment had, because what they did was a bunch of BS. And it's consistently happening, by the way. This isn't the first time that a virus has ever come out of China before. Hell, they just had another one just a few days ago with another bird flu case. Now they're saying that it has low spread capabilities, but they're still having these issues. What other countries do you know 5 years, every 10 years is consistently spitting out a virus that's affecting everybody else, and there's never anything that happens to them? Nothing. You know damn well if this happened in the U.S. If you know damn well if the U.S. was the one that originated the coronavirus and it went out and spread the infected world, all the nations would be ganging up on America, because that's just how it works. But when you have China that runs a show, you have Biden in bed with China, nothing happens to them. When you have the media that's kowtowing for freaking China, they're covering them, rubbing their shoulders, you don't hear this type of stuff. But you have to go to conservative outlets to hear what conservatives think. You have to hear these types of ideas by going to Blaze Media, by going to the Bald Brad Show, by going to the Daily Wire, to hear these types of ideas. And I agree with that $10 trillion payment. It says former President Donald Trump issued a statement citing the release of a trove of emails from Dr. Anthony Fauci and calling on China to pay $10 trillion to the U.S. over the coronavirus pandemic. Now, everyone, even the so-called enemy, are beginning to say that President Trump was right about the China virus coming from the Wuhan lab, Trump said in the statement released on Thursday. The correspondence between Dr. Fauci and China speaks too loudly for anyone to ignore. China should pay $10 trillion to America and the world for the death and destruction they have caused. Absolutely agree with that. Trump was referring to more and more experts admitting that there was evidence pointing to the possibility that the coronavirus might have originated in a laboratory instead of coming from natural cases or causes. The lab leak theory was ridiculed as a conspiracy theory by the mainstream media and many experts until evidence was uncovered and compiled by a group of online sleuths that forced them to admit the possibility. And, we all get that it was a possibility. To say it wasn't a possibility is absolutely ridiculous. But again, when you have the media, the mass media that's in bed with China, when you have Dr. Fauci that's in bed with China, when you have Joe Biden and the Democrats that's in bed with China, when you have the leftists that are in bed with China, all the stuff that conservatives say is always a conspiracy. It can never be true. It can never be taken as fact. It's always a damn conspiracy. But then when Trump's not in office, when you have a Democrat in office, when you have a leftist in office, all of a sudden it's like, oh, maybe there's some truth to it. Maybe it is a possibility. And when Trump puts in an investigation or wants an investigation on the Wuhan lab or wants an investigation on China, all of a sudden he's looked at a bigot, sexist, homophobe, racist, xenophobe, all the freaking names in the book. But when Joe Biden wants to open an investigation, everyone's just bowing down to him like he's holier than thou, like he's the freaking second coming of Christ. The man could do nothing wrong. It's unbelievable how the media cover for this guy constantly, how the media constantly cover for our enemies like China and Russia. You haven't heard about the Russia hoax? You haven't heard anything about Russia since Trump has been out of office. That's kind of odd, right? But you have China over here doing all this stuff, right? Like creating massive chaos across the globe, not just with coronavirus, but also with the economy, also with what's going on with the humanitarian issues over there with the Uyghurs, right? So, with these concentration camps and all the stuff that they're doing, nobody says anything about this. Is anybody here listening and like completely mind blown about how China's constantly getting away with this stuff? Where's the questions from our media? They're supposed to be the truth tellers. They're supposed to be the people that want to support Americans. They are Americans. Wouldn't they freaking care? Why are they not investigating it on their own? Why are they leaving it up to governmental organizations to do it? What the hell happened to investigative journalism? What the hell happened to people doing their jobs and going out there, boots on the ground, undercover stuff? Holy crap. It's just, our country is not going in a good direction, because when you have people that are going against the betterment of our country, it's not helping our country and it's only helping the other ones. It's just, damn, it's annoying. We ordered billions of dollars worth of vaccines before we knew it even worked. Had that not been done, our wonderful vaccines would not have been administered until October of this year, he said. No one would have had the shot that now saved the world and millions of lives, said Trump. He also slammed the infectious disease experts for changing his positions on the utility of masks. Also, Dr. Fauci was totally against masks when I thought they would at least be helpful. He then changed his mind completely and became a radical masker, he claimed. And Trump is absolutely right on this. At one point in 2020, Fauci was, you can go around with your daily life. You don't need a mask. Mask's not really going to do much for you, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, mask up. Holy crap, mask up. Wear 5 of them if you have to. All this stuff. And it's like, dude, you're just a reed in the wind, man. At some point you're for something, at some point you're not. And we all get it. You're in bed with China. We all get that you want to fund stuff that's going on in China. We all get that you're into infectious diseases and manipulating them and transforming them and biologically changing them and all this stuff that you do. We all get that you're for it, man. Fauci, I was for, right? I was like, okay, this is an old guy, just a doctor, knows a ton of stuff about this stuff, wants the betterment for the country, just wants to help everybody because there's a massive pandemic going on. There's no way that this guy would get political. This guy is nothing but political. Have you seen him sit in front of Congress and not answer their questions or give a bullshit answer? Meaning a political answer? Why don't you just answer their questions, man? I don't understand why you have to be political about it. If a guy asks, hey, do you think this originated from China? You have to go, oh, well, once I was done having my cigarette, I looked into the books and found, that China had these things. And, well, we can't say that it really originated from... It's like, just say, you know what, yeah, man, it's a possibility that it originated from China. It's actually a really good possibility that it probably originated from China, especially the Wuhan lab. This is the evidence I have to prove that. Him just bending over backwards as if he has a freaking stake in China or what the hell's going on there. I don't get it. I don't get it. And mind you, maybe I don't get it because I don't have enough information. Maybe I'm the idiot here. But the man's political, dude. The man is really political, and I don't think he should be hired. He's the highest paid government official in the United States. And the guy's been wishy-washy. It's unbelievable. He's telling everybody to... I'm trying to watch my language here, but you guys, we just got done shutting down the entire world. People lost their businesses. People lost everything, their retirement, because this idiot over here doesn't know how to run things properly. Trump should have never listened to him. Trump should have never listened to him. It's amazing how the media are like, maybe Trump's right on this. You think the guy's been right on a lot of stuff, man. But you guys consistently go after him. You consistently target him because you don't like him because of the things that he says. Oh, goodness. Oh, you're saying bad things that hurt my feelings. Who cares what the guy says? As long as he's doing good things, creating good policy or coming up with good policy that's going to help the everyday American. Who gives a crap what the president of the United States says constantly? I don't care what any president in history says, as long as he's doing good things. It doesn't matter because what he says doesn't exactly create policy. He's there to execute the laws. Please, for the love of God, learn about the executive branch, you leftists and Democrats, please. Because it just gets tiring of like, That's not how things work. And I'm sitting here listening to this. It's like me every tax season listening to leftists and Democrats all of a sudden be knowledgeable about taxes. Everybody's a tax accountant around tax season, and I have to sit there and listen to it. It's the same thing on how governments ran. It's the same way on anything that happens in politics. You're just listening. You're like, I don't know how you came to that conclusion, because that's not how the Federalist Papers work. That's not how the founders wanted things to work. This is what happened in history on why we shouldn't do it and why it's not going to work, or how it's going to destroy things. Not now, not in 10 years, not in 50 years, but historically about 100 years or so, this will be the demise of this action that you're trying to do here. But people can't cognitively think that damn far because they only want the short-term crap. They only care about what's happening now rather than what's going to happen in the future. And it's so frustrating. In his first interview after the emails were released, Fauci said that he changed his opinion on the coronavirus as more information and data became available. And it's still happening, by the way. He's still swaying back and forth. The guy needs to be fired. For somebody that's been wrong this many times, and he's the highest paid governmental official in the United States government, I don't think you should be getting paid that much when you're wrong that much, man. When you're political that much. When you're in bed with probably one of our enemies here, or the people that don't like Americans, meaning China, meaning Russia, meaning Iran. All these people, I'm not saying he's in bed with. I don't have any evidence to prove that. My speculation is based on his answers here and his emails. That's going to be my guess and my speculation, my opinion. It's an opinion news site, guys. I'm not there to always just read an article and tell you what it is. I would imagine a lot of you come here for my opinion and care about the opinion, so that's why I'm giving it, and I enjoy doing it. You know, again, I've already went into detail of why I do that, but I'm always thankful that a lot of you listen. But our last news story of the day comes from the Daily Wire. This is more of an update and kind of see the ramifications of what happens when you defund the police. And I'm sure all of you already know, probably not good, Brad. It's probably not a good thing that you defund the police, and it's probably going to have massive ramifications. Probably crime went up. Probably gun violence went up, Brad. Probably homicides and murder rates went up, Brad. Yeah, you're probably going to be damn right, because that's what common sense is. But when you have leftists and Democrats running your city or your state, they don't have that kind of common sense. We just got done saying it a few sentences ago. They're not able to see that their policies, the laws, whatever the hell they're doing in government it only has short-term ramifications. They can't think of the long-term ramifications. They don't think of it. It's like that kid goes, I just want to spend $1 million. It's like, well, you don't have $1 million to spend. I'll put it on credit. Well, you need to take out credit first, but you have to pay that back. You know that, right? So you're not just taking out $1 million. You're probably taking out more like $2-3 million, man. I want to spend $1 million. It's like, okay. All right, you idiot. Do whatever the heck you want. Go be bankrupt then. That's fine. Go drive yourself into debt. I see those people all the time, by the way. I tell them not to do something financially. You know, as somebody that's as an accountant, you would like to think that you would listen to the guy that you're paying to do your accountant, or at least give you financial advice in this specific example here. They don't listen to you. You tell them not to do something. If you do this, this is what's going to happen. And then they go out and do it 9 times out of 10, by the way. So I don't know why they're asking somebody for financial advice when they're just going to do exactly the opposite of what you tell them to do. Maybe I should do reverse psychology. Maybe I should tell them to do it, and then maybe they won't do it. I don't know. I've never tried it before. Maybe next year. It says here, 1 year after defunding the police, murder rates in these 5 cities skyrocketed. Following the death of George Floyd, and a wave of rioting across the United States, a handful of major American cities followed through with activists' demands to slice police budgets. In a summary of crime statistics for 2020, crime analyst Jack Asher showed the homicide rates rose in 51 of 57 major American metropolitan areas, meaning across the United States, it all went up. Who could have thought? Who could have just wrapped their head around all this, right? Who could have thought? I don't know what I just did, but you guys get it. It's just, to us, right? Us viewers, us conservatives, Republicans, we're like, yeah, no shit. No shit this would have happened. The fact that this is news is unbelievable because it's not new to us. We've been saying this for a freaking year before it happened. Like, you probably don't want to do that. This is what's going to happen. People are going to start killing each other. Crime's going to go up. You're probably going to disproportionately affect people of color and low-income areas. Let's see if that's in here. 37 of the cities reported spikes in murder above 30%, while some, such as Seattle, Milwaukee, Louisville, saw their homicides rate nearly double. Final national murder rate of 2020. Murder up 36.7%. in 57 agencies with data through at least September, though most have data through November. Murder is up in 51 of 57, 37 of 58 agencies reporting murder up more than 30%. Many of the cities which observed significant increases in murder also passed budgets that stripped police departments of funding. In fact, there is a nearly linear correspondence between the magnitude of police budget cuts and the magnitude of murder spikes. While correlation is by no means causation, it is indeed notable the cities with a relatively lax approach to law enforcement saw their laws broken more often. So basically, in statistics, there's things that we have, which is observational studies, right? Where basically we ask people for data, we observe the data, and we try to make connections and assimilations with the data. That's all that's taking place here. With observational data and studies, you're not able to actually show cause and effect with it. To show cause and effect, you have to have design experiments or experimental designs. Either way you want to phrase it is fine. But design experiments or experimental designs are literally designed so that you could show cause and effect, so that you can get rid of the confounding variables, so that you can get rid of or limit the lurking variables. Ultimately, you want to have no lurking variables at all. Those are basically variables that affect the study without you ever even fathomably thinking about that it would affect the study. I'm not going to go into that here, but that's what I'm talking about in terms of what they're talking about here in statistical analysis of this data. Austin, Texas, which defunded its police to a larger extent than any other city, saw a massive spike in murder rate. In August, the Austin City Council voted unanimously to nix $150 million from its $434 million police budget, representing a roughly 35% budget cut. And they think this stuff's a good idea. You got to understand, guys, it's not like just one person is sitting there going, yeah, I'm going to axe this thing. Boom, done. You have people, multiples of people sitting around a damn table going, what do you think, Jimmy? Good? Yeah. Nancy, what do you think? Oh, you think defending the police is good too? Oh, okay. Yeah, Jimmy Bob, what do you think, Jimmy Bob? Oh, Jimmy Bob, you think it's good too? Oh, well, everybody's saying nay, yay, we're going to defund the police and see the murder rate go up. There's multiple people that are involved in this. It's not like there's just one freaking czar that's sitting there just making all the freaking decisions here. Councilmember Greg Caesar, who led the initiative, declared that his moment has been born out of a lot of hurt in the community. He also signaled more action in the future. We know we have a long way to go. Governor Greg Abbott, Republican from Texas, warned that the city's decision would carry consequences. Again, Republicans saying it, conservatives saying it. It's like, oh God, it's like you giving your children the keys to everything, and then you're like, this is probably going to be bad. I know I shouldn't do this. I know I shouldn't just let them have roughshod over the house because they're going to destroy it, but I'm going to do it anyways. That's exactly what the American citizens do when they're voting for Democrats and leftists. I know that I shouldn't vote for a Democrat or leftist because they're going to destroy this country through their policies, their regulations, and the way they govern. And I know it's going to destroy the House, meaning the United States of America. And they do it anyways. Same exact thing. Financially, hey, you probably shouldn't do that because these are going to be the consequences of you doing this action. And they're going to be negative consequences. They're not going to be positive if you do this. The client goes ahead and does it. Again, 9 times out of 10, they do it. Almost 10 out of 10, you're going to get a freaking Democrat doing something idiotic. I poke fun a little bit, okay? It's not all Democrats are going to do 10 times out of 10, guys. I joke a lot on this show, okay? So all the freaking little Democrats and leftists that get all pissy about it, you know, it's just all jokes and fun. You can lighten up a little bit. You know, please have a cup of coffee. If it's late at night that you're watching, have a little drink. Chill out a little bit. We can have fun with it. You know, come on. Some cities are more focused on political agendas than public safety. Yeah, no shit. He commented, Austin's decision put the brave men and women of the Austin Police Department and their families at greater risk and paves the way for lawlessness. Public safety is job one, and Austin has abandoned that duty. The governor's prediction was correct. According to Asher's data, the city observed 29 murders in 2019. In 2020, it saw 45 murders, a 55% increase. New York City, the same. After passing budget that reduces police spending and shrinks NYPD's footprint, the Big Apple experienced a similar increase in homicides. New York City Council believes that its $1 billion reduction Again, $1 billion in reduction in NYPD's budget, which includes $484 million in cuts, $354 million in shifts to public health agencies, and $162 million in shifts of other costs, was a hard-fought battle which marks the beginning of the council's efforts to not only limit the size and scope of the NYPD, meaning the police department, but also reimagine how we structure criminal justice and public safety in this city. The budget reduction marks a 17% decrease from its former size of $6 billion. Although a statement from the mayor, Bill de Blasio, which complete knucklehead, by the way, office insisted that the budget maintains patrol strength to protect the safety of all communities. New York City saw a 437 murders in 2020, a 39% increase from 314 murders in 2019. So over 100 more murders in the next year. But hey, Bill de Blasio over here, we're not going to get rid of the public strength or the patrol strength to protect our citizens. Mr. de Blasio, why did your murder increase then? Why did the murder rates go up? Well, we don't really know. It's just, I don't even know how to script this stuff because it's so idiotic. Like I can't even think of what somebody could say to response as to, hey, you got rid of 37% of your budget, or ever how much it was, 17% decrease in your budget. You got rid of $162 million in shift cost, your reduction of $1 billion, and your murder rates went up. But yet you're saying that it had no issues with patrol, it had no issues with public safety, but the public was clearly vulnerable, hence the increase of over 100 murders. But what do we know, man? We're idiots. We're conspiracy theories, guys. So, join the club. Las Vegas failed to prioritize law enforcement in its budget and quickly faced the consequences. In response to an explicit dip in revenue following the COVID-19 pandemic, Las Vegas decreased its spending by over 15%. However, the police budget also axed by 7.1% in May 2020. Many citizens were not satisfied. Commenting at a protest outside Las Vegas City Hall, one activist stated that we feel like the police need to be defunded on the simple fact we feel like they are not here to do their pledge, which is to serve and protect. Las Vegas Police Protective Association President Steve Gramas fired back. I understand that folks are upset with what happened in Minnesota, but calling for the defunding or the dismantling of police departments is absolutely insane. Nevertheless, the 7.1 cut corresponded with a murder rate increase of 14%. In 2019, the city saw 84 murders, and the next year it saw 96. So not a massive increase in murders, but either way, you expect the murder rate to go down. But you would imagine, and kind of simulating the idea of you're defunding the police, the murder rates going up. Now, could there be a no cause and effect there? Obviously. Again, this is just pure observational data. We could be wrong on this, but you can't help but make at least some connection to the two. Washington. The next two are Washington and Portland, you guys. Who could have thought on these two? We talk about them all the time. The two leftist places in the union. Despite its status as an epicenter of rioting and violence, this is Washington, during the Black Lives Matter riots, the nation's capital decided to scale back its police budget. In July, Washington, D.C.'s budget for the Metropolitan Police Department imposed a $33 million cut from its previous $611 million, a 5% decrease. The council, like all Americans, is grappling with the undoing centuries of layered systemic racism and its permutations throughout our society, Councilmember Charles Allen explained. There will be no single law or single budget that could possibly provide a single remedy. Washington observed an increase in murders from 165 in 2019 to 197 in 2020, a 19% spike. You love how it's like, just because you had one officer that did something stupid. By the way, the George Floyd officer, Derek Chauvin, I think was his name, there was nothing about race in the trial. There was nothing that attributed him to being a racist or there being systemic racism. That's the crazy thing. Nothing in the trial ever showed that. There was no evidence of it, and they're still directing it towards systemic racism. So you're saying one guy on the back of another dude, or putting his knee on the neck of another dude, is going to attribute to the nationwide police department where there's thousands of police in uniform doing their job that are good police officers, and you're going to defund them and screw them because you got one idiot? It's like saying that, hey, I got an office full of 10,000 people. One guy does something really stupid, so I'm going to screw everybody else, and I'm going to decrease everybody else's pay because some idiot over here decided to do something idiotic. Does that make sense to all of you? Should everybody else get screwed on their job, their pay, their safety, because you got some idiot over here that doesn't know how to do his job correctly? But that's how the Democrats think. Everybody gets screwed. Everybody. By the way, it's not just the police department that's getting screwed. It's the American citizens that are getting screwed. Everybody got effed here. The Democrats were like, everybody bend over backwards, pull down your pants because you're about to be screwed by all of us. Portland. As its leadership defunded law enforcement, Portland, another epicenter of mass protest movements, saw its own increase in violence. In the weeks after George Floyd's death, Portland sliced $15 million from the police bureau's budget. Another proposal that would have removed another $18 million failed in November. Notably, Portland Mayor Ted Wheeler, Democrat of Oregon, complete idiot, by the way. This guy has no clue on how to run anything. He probably puts his left shoe on his right foot. This guy is nuts, man. Threw his weight behind calls to defund the police. A June 2020 memo from his office called for lawmakers to redirect over $7 million from Police Bureau and $5 million from other city funds to communities of color, increase police accountability, reinvest in Black and brown communities, and advocate for greater access to community-based behavioral health and harm reduction services located in communities of color. Portland subsequently saw 50 murders in 2020, a 52 increase from 33 murders in 2019. So all these places that were supporting defund the police, again, we're making associations here. We're not making cause and effects claims, but you can't help but look at it and go, it looks like there's a little bit of a pattern for the places that want to defund the police. What happened to your murder rates? What happened to the violence that happened? The crime rates increased overall. So all leftist ran areas for the most part here. Crime increased, murder rates increased. Been a year after defund the police whole movement happened. Who could have thought, guys? I know this is not news to all of you, but at least we got it on reporting here on the Bald Brad Show. And with that being said, folks, that is all the news stories for this week. We hit 2,000 subscribers, huh? Okay, hey, you know what? We're doing 1,000 a month. We'll probably see it taper off this month and next month. Again, folks, teachers, we don't get paid for 2 months. A lot of these subscribers are coming in through my advertisements that I've been paying for out of my own pocket. Obviously, out of my own pocket, who the hell else would pay for it? But that's why we're partially growing so rapidly here. For us to continue with 1,000 subscribers, it really relies on the consistent viewers. All of you write consistently to me in the comments. I'm not going to go through the list of names, but I see the same people all the time. And I really rely on you guys to kind of do the spreading of information for me, meaning just copy and pasting the links out there on social media, texting them to your friends. If you have Reddit accounts, putting them on there. And so just trying to get almost grassroots, word of mouth people to watch it and support the channel and subscribe. So we are at 2,000. I don't expect us to hit even 3,000 over summer at all. I don't think we'll hit 3,000 probably till somewhere around fall here, but at least we're moving upwards trajectory. It's going to take a few years to grow, folks, unless I can get on other people's shows and try to at least expand that way. I have been sending emails left and right to a lot of big name people, but you know, when you're a small channel, they don't really see a point in talking to you. They don't really care about kind of your opinions and stuff like that. But again, that's the end of the week. If there's any breaking stories over the weekend, I'll make sure that I put up a video or leave a comment somewhere on the community page or something of that nature. I'm expecting a lot more videos to come out this summer since I won't be working. Maybe do a few videos a day, something like that. Be more active since I'm not working. But with that being said, folks, I hope all of you have a lovely and blessed weekend. Make sure you take care of yourselves. Pray for your friends and family and your loved ones. And I'll see you here next week on The Bald Brad Show.